All right, 17 past the 5 o'clock hour on a busy Thursday. Thursday edition of BYP coming at you. Rich Quinones here. Good stuff with the baseball talk. We'll hold off on some of the tweets as well. We're going to switch gears a little bit, which is always good, right? You have to break up, as they say in the business, you break up the monotony. I'll give you some plays for preseason, as I mentioned, as I promised. But we want to switch gears because we know we get so many guys, too, online, right? You guys want these soccer picks. You want MLS picks. You want EPL picks. And that's what we're going to start doing. We'll start loading them up for you. Our good friend Larry Henry Jr., who does a good job covering the sport as well at L. Henry 019, and of course cover soccer for at International Championships Cup. He's got some good plays. I know we spoke to him in the fall, and now we get him in the summertime. But Larry, good to talk to you again, my friend. How you been?
Good, Rich. Good. Thanks so much for having me back. As you hit it right on the head. A lot of exciting times coming up. EPL kicking off tomorrow with the London Derby, and MLS continuing through the regular season this weekend as well. So happy to be back with you, and hoping to get out some winners here.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And you mentioned it, right? Manchester City defending league champions. They're looking for the championship league title to go along with, I guess we can say, their domestic success. I mean, if you look at some of these odds on BetMGM right now, they're at minus 150, Chelsea at plus 500, Liverpool at plus 500. But as you mentioned, EPL kicks off tomorrow. You got Brentford taking on Arsenal. Arsenal finished in 8th place last season, missed out on the European football for the first time in 26 years. So I think there's a lot of pressure on their coach. I think there's a lot of pressure on this squad. So do you like them in this spot to kick open the season against Brentford?
I do, yeah, for sure. I think Arsenal fans will tell you that last season was a major disappointment, missing out in Europe, showing inconsistent spells throughout the season. And I think they have a great opportunity tomorrow to kick off the season against Brentford, who is coming up to the Premier League. They did win the playoff final last year in the championship, so they're going to be full of energy at home. And overall, I mean, they were unbeaten in their last 10, dating back to last season. So I don't think it'll be an easy game for Arsenal, but I do think they will be expected to win. I do back them to win tomorrow at Brentford because Mikel Arteta's side that has a lot of quality there. You have Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, you have Alex Lacazette. You have a lot of young players now in the mix. Ben White, who just got transferred to the club today, the 23-year-old defender. So I think that's a great add for them because they were not good defensively last season. So he should help kind of shore that up a little bit. And then Brentford, it's tough to really say with newly promoted teams because I watched a lot of them in the championship. And they did extremely well to get to the Premier League. A lot of pressure is going to be on Ivan Toney, the striker who scored 31 league goals last season in the second division. So they're going to need some other guys to step up. Matthias Jensen's another one in midfield. He's more known for the assist. So they're going to need some other guys to pair with Toney in the attack. But overall, I like Arsenal to get the win tomorrow, get the first 3 points of the season. And I also like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to score because he had 14 league goals last season, and it's been usually over double digits every year he's been at Arsenal now. So back in the Gunners tomorrow on the money line, and also Aubameyang to score. I think last time I checked, earlier today it was plus 160, so good odds there for him.
Yeah, that's a nice little play for a prop as well. You mentioned Arsenal. I think a lot of pressure, too, is on their manager, Mikel Arteta, because he needs a strong start. If you think about it, and I thought you brought up a good point about the consistency. You mentioned White coming over for $70 million. I think at the end of the day, that gives the Gunners pretty much a nice little fundamental piece to build a defense around. But it's ultimately, to me, his passing, the ball skills. I think that's going to be the most impactful. Like, this team's got to score goals, right? I think they only had 55 last year, which was good for 9th best in the Premier League. So do you like them to come out and over the first couple games, be a lot more aggressive? Would you be confident playing some of their overs for total number of goals scored in games early on, or would you have to wait a little bit?
It's tough to say. I think obviously early in the season, maybe the full squad's not back yet.
Right.
Obviously, there's consistency, like you said, trying to get up to a fast start. But they do have a lot of opportunities early in the season when you look at their schedule to score goals, whether it's them or whether it's just total overs in the games, because they play Brentford tomorrow, then they play Chelsea the following weekend in the London derby, and both of those attacks I think will be, chomping at the bit to get going now that Chelsea's got Romelu Lukaku coming over from Inter Milan. Then they go to Man City, and so that's a pretty tough start schedule-wise, going up against two of those three matches, going up against title challengers, and one being the favorite in Man City. So, but I think overall, Arsenal's going to need to come out fast. They're going to need to come out and score some goals. I think a lot of pressure is going to be on those guys. Like I said, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Bukayo Saka is a young talent who obviously, impressed at the Euros this summer. So I do like them to score some goals. Maybe the results in those Chelsea-Man City games don't go their way, but I do see them being more competitive this season than they were last year.
How are you handicapping Watford versus Aston Villa?
Looking at the Watford-Aston Villa game, again, this is another situation where you have Watford coming up back to the Premier League after a few seasons away. They finished second in the championship behind Norwich City, who won the division. And again, it's another situation like Brentford where a team that doesn't score a lot of goals. They don't really have that go-to guy offensively. To really go to like Ivan Toney, who scored 31 goals. Plus they have Trevini, who's been around for a while now, Watford, Andre Gray, Jerome Sinclair. All these guys are veteran scorers. Joao Pedro is probably the one guy I'm most eager to watch. 19 years old, and he had 9 goals last season, so that was a good return for him. And Aston Villa, obviously, this is a team too that's been in the news because they just acquired Leon Bailey from Bayer Leverkusen, the Jamaican international. So hopefully he can help fill that void left by Jack Grealish's departure to Manchester City for over £100 million. But this is a fun team, Aston Villa. I watched a lot last season. I remember the one game they smoked Liverpool. I think it was 7-1. And they got a lot of good offensive players to choose from. Ollie Watkins, they get Danny Ings that comes over from Southampton. So overall, I like Aston Villa to get the win tomorrow because right now, plus 130, you can get them to win. I think there's a really good odds for a team going on the road against a team that's newly promoted. And Ollie Watkins, sticking with the player props, I think he'd be my best bet to score. He's plus 185. He had 14 goals last season, and is still a young talent. And he was also part of that Brentford team a few seasons ago that didn't get promoted. So I do like Aston Villa, another road team in the early going to get a win and probably put up a few goals as well, because Watford, again, this isn't a team that's really that strong defensively. They are a good unit overall, but when you step back up to the Premier League level, it's going to be a little tough probably to get your feet going, and obviously the talent level Aston Villa has is, I just think, overall better. They're going to be a team that's going to be fighting to get in the top 10 after finishing 11th last season.
You have a rivalry, if you will, right? Everton against Southampton. I mean, they'll meet for the 45th time in the Premier League on Saturday. And the one thing that stands out is that Everton's lost just one of their 22 Premier League home games against Southampton, right? I mean, I think they unbeaten in their last 16. I think you got to go back all the way to 97 when they suffered a 2-0 setback. So, is this, do you buy into those types of numbers? And if anything, I think this game potentially you can see maybe like a 4-2, 3-2 type of game. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I'm with you on that for the goals. I think it is going to be maybe a high-scoring affair from Goodison Park. Everton has really owned this matchup over the last 15 years. And this is a team now that Everton with Rafa Benitez coming in as the manager, replacing Carlo Ancelotti. So obviously there's going to be a new formation there, a new setup. But when you look at the amount of talent offensively this team has, it's a different guy that can beat you every game. Dominic Calvert-Lewin had 16 goals last season. Richarlison had 7. He's coming off the gold medal win in the Olympics with Brazil. James Rodriguez had 6 goals and 4 assists. He's the key playmaker for them. And they also bring in a couple guys this summer, Damari Gray and Andrews Townsend, who have been in the Premier League before with Leicester City, and obviously Townsend's been in the league with Tottenham and Crystal Palace. So I do think Everton will get the win tomorrow. But, when you look at Southampton, they were flying high at one point last season, and really the wheels just came off, and they were looking at maybe a top 10 finish to finishing 15th. So the big thing for Southampton is who are they going to get to fill the void left by Danny Ings, who's moved to Aston Villa. Che Adams, the Scotland forward, 9 goals last season, so he's probably the go-to guy. But one guy I think to keep an eye on this season, Adam Armstrong, coming in from Blackburn Rovers in the Championship, really kind of had to fight his way in the lower leagues to get back to this opportunity, and he had 28 goals last season in the Championship. So if he can stay healthy, I think Southampton will be pushing for a top 10 stop this season. But overall, I like Everton at home minus 110 to get the win. And overall, I'd have to say over 3.5 total goals in the game, because I think when you look at it, Everton's they have the better options offensively. Southampton might make a goal here, but I think in the end, Everton's going to win by 2 goals in this one.
Larry, do you have a strong MLS play, a game or two that you've kind of highlighted, you've been following that you like?
Looking at the schedule, I think one game has to be a Saturday night, Toronto FC versus the New England Revolution. Toronto FC is dead last in the Eastern Conference, really trying to look for any consistency. I know they just lost recently to the Philadelphia Union 3-0. They've only won 1 of their last 5. And then they're taking on a New England side who is riding a 6-match unbeaten run with 5 wins in that span. They get their guys back from the Gold Cup. Matt Turner, the goaltender, the USA goaltender who just came back, and then Tajon Buchanan, the Canadian winger, he's back as well. So Carlos Gil's absence has definitely hurt New England, but they've continued to kind of tread forward, and guys like Gustavo Bou and Adam Buska, combined for 19 goals this season. So New England right now, pretty good value on the road against the last place team in the East, plus 130. So I think that's some really good value there. New England, the number 1 team in the league. And then looking at Sunday's slate, Atlanta United taking on LAFC. I feel this game, both teams are going to need a win. Atlanta United obviously just announced a new coaching hire today with Gabriel Pineda coming in, but he will not be taking over at least for another week or so. So while Valentino continues at the interim role, and then if you look at LAFC, they've kind of struggled of late. They failed to win each of their last 5 matches, but overall they still pose one of the top offensive threats in Carlos Vela and Diego Rossi as well. So the last meeting between these teams was 2019. It was a 4-3 win for LAFC. Then United's just really kind of struggled for consistent goals, and I think when you look at it, LAFC is going to break through, and they have more guys to choose from. So LAFC, another road team with some good value, plus 140 in that one.
What did you make of the Lionel Messi news?
Well, it was, I guess at that point I kind of expected he would go to Paris Saint-Germain. Being a Man City fan myself, I was kind of maybe hoping it would happen, but at the same point, it's like, well, let's try to win it without Messi, and let's try to win the Champions League without Messi. And we obviously came close last year, didn't come through for us, but I think PSG easily the favorite now in the Champions League, the favorite in Liga in France after losing the Lille last season in the title race. But I think this is going to be a fun thing to watch, because seeing Messi now in different colors in a different country, playing in a different league, obviously, I'm sure you've seen the amount of following now that PSG is getting on social media just in a matter of days. So I think overall, it might not be the best thing for professional soccer overseas, but overall, I think it's an exciting time just to see what he can do in a new situation. We've seen that with Cristiano Ronaldo now that he's at Juventus, and I think we all knew that Lionel Messi at some point was going to move on. So PSG, if you're liking those Champions League odds, I think lock it in right now because they have to be the favorite. There's only a couple teams I think that could maybe go toe-to-toe with them. Man City's one. Chelsea, I think, is another, being the defending champs, and now adding Lukaku into the mix as well. So, but overall, I think should be really fun to watch, and I will be watching more of the French League this season.
It's crazy when you think of the numbers, right, from a financial standpoint. I mean, if you look at it in the whole scheme of things, his reported annual salary, $41 million, right, plus bonuses. You got the $30 million signing bonus at PSG. Their trading volume rose to more than $1.2 billion. I mean, it's crazy when you see how these players are signing these contracts, or how they're being rented out, or how they're going to the highest bidder. I mean, you think the NBA and the NFL is crazy, or baseball is crazy with a 10-year, $300 million contract. Just look what's going on in soccer. I mean, it's crazy. It's ludicrous. But, I mean, more power to him, right? I mean, he's an all-time great, and he's still relatively young. He's only 34. But it's just the number is just staggering when you look at how much they're making.
Definitely, yeah. It was funny watching, everything on Twitter about what his contract would be, and then I think what did it end up being, 2 years, $50 million, so 50 million euros, which is pretty reasonable when you look at it, because I mean, this was a guy that at one point was being linked with Man City for, I think, was it $300 million over 6 or 7 years, with a possible option to go to MLS after that with New York City FC, which is the sister club with Man City. But I think overall, PSG, I think, gets a steal on this because, with the amount of money that they're going to make back off of, endorsements and now with people buying jerseys and T-shirts and wanting to come to the games, it's just and now that the stadiums are going to be back to full capacity soon, so I think it's a steal for PSG. And I know a lot of people don't like it because of the fact that PSG has that money and they can spend it, but in today's modern game overseas, I mean, teams are going to have to spend money. Yeah. I mean, I remember Man City fighting for relegation and stuff, and now it's like. It's crazy where they've come and without the money. And if you have owners that will spend that money, more power to them. You want to be that. You want to be the dynasty. You want to be the next Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. And PSG hasn't gotten there on the European stage. They've been there in the French league and all. But now I think with Lionel Messi there, they have a really strong chance of winning the Champions League. And who knows, maybe going for a two-peat next season if everything goes their way.
And kind of to close, to piggyback on your point, and it's a real astute one too. You see some of these great players, maybe someone in the twilight of their career, you would love to see them play like in the States, MLS, right? We everyone was waiting for Beckham all those years. Even when you go back to the 70s and Pele had the great run from Santos to Sao Paulo to Brazil to the Cosmos, and they started to bring over some of those world-renowned players. I mean, can you imagine having an opportunity to see Messi play in the States? I mean, it's just... it would be absolutely crazy. Like, I couldn't fathom the type of coverage that would get.
Oh, yeah, it would be insane. I mean, I have a colleague of mine who covers Inter Miami, and Messi was recently in Miami for vacation before all this happened with PSG, and it was just the scenes of friends of his being at a coffee shop and seeing thousands of people pushing the door because they know Messi's inside. Like, and I think too, like, I mean, I don't know what Lionel Messi's plan is, if he wants to come here, if he wants to end his career here, if he has any other ideas of other countries, but I'm not sure if he even wants to play here after seeing all that, going to get a coffee. He can't even get a coffee, but I think it would be amazing. I mean, I've been able to cover some great talents being at games and seeing some of the European teams come over here in the summer, and and Messi would just blow all that out of the water. So we'll see what happens, but overall, I think my guess is he will come here at some point, whether it's with Miami. I think Miami's probably the most attractive place for him, going to Florida, and David Beckham being the owner, and I know the team has been struggling as of late, but I think at some point they'll bounce back, and if you bring a guy like Messi in, it's just going to kind of blow the radar of your team up, just like it has done with PSG.
All right, outstanding analysis as always, pal. Keep up the great work, and I know, see, you back your play because you tweet out your picks, too, and we like that. See, we like the guys that have stones that back it out, and they put it out there. So when you're wrong, you own up to it, but then when you're right, you're allowed to gloat a little bit. So we will definitely get you back on, and I look forward to it, but keep up the great work. Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Rich, for having me.
You got it, pal.